Do you love Reddit stories when you're scrolling on TikTok? I know I do. Let's just see how weird this can get. We're gonna be reacting to some Reddit stories. Let's go.
I was 14. No friends. Each day I dragged myself home to where I lived with my schizophrenic mother. Just the two of us. I would be in trouble for something. I lived in a perpetual state of confusion as I often couldn't remember what she told me I had done. She told me I was stupid and needed to go to a special school because I didn't know what I had done wrong. In the past she had often slapped me until my nose bled and beat me with the metal pole of a fly swatter. But that stopped the summer before high school. She told me she didn't love me repeatedly for months. According to her, I was a horrible daughter. Her friends from church had stopped coming weekly to yell at me and slap me senseless as well. I knew when she sent me away with my aunt and uncle the summer that had passed she had read my diary, where I detailed all the abuse and talked about wanting to die. She denied reading it, but it stopped the physical abuse, so now it was just verbal, and believe it or not, that hurt just as bad. I was unlovable and alone. Then one magical day a girl at school approached me and we became friends. A few weeks later she asked me if I could spend the weekend at her house. Her house was beautiful and she lived with her parents and siblings, and it was loud, noisy and chaotic. On the Saturday of this weekend sleepover, my new friend had to take piano lessons, so I was to hang out in her room until she got back. I was surprised when both her parents wanted to speak with me while she was gone. They informed me that the school had asked them to be my foster parents and presented me with a contract. They gave me 30 minutes to decide if I wanted to live with them. I was 14 years old. I had no friends. My mother was the only family I had ever known. I knew I was stupid. I knew that I was worthless and unlovable. 30 minutes was a ridiculous amount of time for a decision that would change the course of my life that I was too young to make. I didn't know these people at all, but a voice in my head screamed at me to do it, with everything it had. So I took that leap of faith. I jumped off the cliff away from everything I'd ever known.
Wow. I think the counselor snitched or something. Wow.
Fiance left me due to my cancer diagnosis. I left her destitute. This has been 4 years ago, so the sting is gone and my revenge has been had. Sorry, if this isn't the right forum. We dated for 4 years and had what I thought was a great relationship. We were both well-established professionals who both owned homes in the same neighborhood and both with daughters in the home. Her daughter was 11, and mine was 16 when we met. We had actually planned to get married, build a house, and raise the two together. We planned the house build because she had recently been diagnosed with a neurological disease that would eventually put her in a wheelchair, and needs something ADA-friendly. Fast forward 6 months, we're looking at property to develop and finalizing drawings on the home when I began feeling ill. I couldn't eat, constantly vomiting and passing blood. I began noticing that my abdomen looked swollen, which was odd because we were both very clean eaters and were in the gym every day. So I went to the doctor and began having tests done. During this time, she began having small cognitive issues, and the stress of her current position was exacerbating her condition. So she took a $20,000 per annum cut in pay along with a lesser position inside the company. After a month or so of different tests, and a biopsy, it came back that I had a golf ball-sized tumor in my stomach, and would need to begin chemotherapy. So I began chemo and radiation treatments, which made me, expectedly so, extremely ill. She was spending time helping around my place on the weekends and staying over more, to the point that they were both at my home, more than theirs. At this point, I suggested that we go ahead and put one of our houses on the market. Shortly after this discussion, she became extremely distant. Her daughter wasn't coming down and hanging out with mine anymore. She had excuses for not getting together. She quit driving me to treatments and stopped staying over. She then dropped a bomb, a sentence that will forever be burned into my psyche. I love you, but I can't see myself taking care of someone this sick in the long term, and I don't think we should see each other any longer. A text. It broke me.
Text.
This was the first woman I had ever opened up to and planned a life with since my wife died when my children were 1 and 3. However, I tried to be mature about it. I forced myself to understand her position and to accept what I could not change. I calmly, the next day, gathered all of her things, packed them neatly, loaded them in my truck, and took them to her house to leave on the back porch while she was at work, in order to avoid any awkward exchanges. Walking around the back and under the porch cover, I sat down a box, and saw her in her back living room, on the couch having intercourse with a man that she had introduced to me as a lifelong friend. I had dinner and drinks with this man and his girlfriend. We had gone on vacation with them, as well. I never spoke of the incident with her, and simply sent her a text later, explaining that I would leave her things on my side porch to pick up at her convenience. I discovered 8 or 9 months later from his now ex-girlfriend, that they had broken up due to him confessing that he had been sleeping with my SO, dating back to about the time we were finishing drawings on the new home. Now I'm pissed. Revenge time. At this point, I had finished chemo and radiation for the time being and was feeling healthier. I was going through some much neglected paperwork when I ran across the file that contained $32,680 in unpaid, long overdue invoices. She promptly had to back out of the purchase of another home and moved in with her oldest daughter, Sil, and 2 grandchildren. She also had to leave her job and begin receiving disability. I ran into her a little over a year ago, and she looked as if she had aged 20 years, and was in the wheelchair we had talked about. We chatted cordially but briefly and I excused myself and went on with my day. A few days later, her younger daughter called me and spoke of my running into her mom, and could we hang out sometime? I gave a vague answer, thanked her for calling and again, went on with my day. The ex then called me a week or so later, and began apologizing for leaving me as she did. Again, Cordial but short. I thanked her for calling and hung up. She began texting and this went on for several
Facts.
weeks until once
As
she
you
asked
should.
if I could ever see us rekindling what we had. To which I
Hell
replied,
no.
I can't see myself taking care of someone so sick in the long term.
Woo!
Remember the box on your back porch?
Facts.
Did you think that, lifelong friend, brought that over to you from my house? Good luck to you. Goodbye.
Facts. That bitch a hoe. Met her at the stove. Alright. Let me know if I should react to more Reddit stories. We're gonna leave it there. Yeah, I'm done.
Cold like ice, didn't make it out alive.